Sono Franco, Eva. Usiamo anche quest'altro nome 01001011110101.org.
Eva and Franco Matz is the name of the fellowship formed by two Italian artists, whose true identity is unknown. They are also known under the pseudonym O1.org.
Meeting in Berlin in 1995, they never separate. In those same years, artistic experimentation approaches the web, giving rise to reproducible and accessible works, open to the active participation of users. Fascinated by the environment of the network and its potential, the Mats carry out their first projects within the Luther Blissett collective and other underground circuits in Bologna, staging a political and social criticism, but at the same time ironic, and distinguishing himself as the pioneers of net art. They have in fact become the protagonists of some media jokes, creating fictional characters, stories or sites, so credible as to seem real. The Vaticano.org project is an example of this. The artists acquire a domain and reproduce the website of the Holy See, faithful in all respects to the original one, inserting, however, unorthodox and therefore unsettling textual elements between the pages. We find the same use of cloning in copies, in which the Mats criticize and question the exclusive exhibition methods of closed sites, as in the case of Hell.com, in which they entirely duplicate an exhibition, reserved for subscribers only, making it accessible to all through their site. Through these operations of cloning and subversion, the pair of artists gave birth to a heated debate aimed at calling into question issues such as originality, authenticity and uniqueness of art accessible via the Internet.
The pseudonym O1.org, the name of their website, manifests the choice to remain anonymous, dictated by the criticism of ownership, the copyright mark, the law that kills art. Net artists, provocateurs, subversives, Eva and Franco Matz become famous for their unsettling interventions, outside of artistic conventions, with the aim of highlighting the concept around art itself as a form of social criticism. Furthermore, the systematic repetition of some practices such as appropriation, theft, reinvention, demonstrate the influence of the artistic avant-gardes and activist practices of the 20th century, including situationist détournement and Duchamp and his ready-made. Emblematic is, in this sense, the project Darko Maver, through which the two artists give life to a fictitious and non-existent character with a very precise identity, a Serbian artist who makes horribly realistic sculptures of murder victims and who would soon die in a NATO bombing raid. Soon after his death, a series of posthumous performances culminated in the 48th Venice Biennale in 1999. Only after arousing this media fervor will it be discovered that, in reality, Maver never existed and that the photos of the sculptures are actually images taken from the Internet. With this media operation, Eva and Franco highlight how thin the limit is between art and life, reality and representation, truth and fiction, typical elements of their poetics. In fact, their media performances are so credible to the point of not distinguishing truth and falsehood. As in the case of Nike Ground, the project carried out in Vienna, in which the artists convinced people that Nike had acquired Karlsplatz, the city's historic square, to rename it Nikeplatz, or in United We Stand, which sees the launch of a media campaign widespread in America and Europe, for a non-existent action film, or an ordinary building with the affixing of false plaques of the architectural heritage.
We do pranks, most of it.
This mixing game leads them to conceive in 2001 the Internet project Life Sharing, with the attempt to show the superimposition of the Internet to the real world, everywhere and always, reflecting, in fact, the reflections of the time on the virtual, no longer trapped in the digital, but poured into everyday life. For 3 years, they offer users the ability to access the data on their computer online. In the evolution of the project, Eva and Franco go beyond their own idea of privacy, now obsolete, realizing that the true potential of the Internet is the free exchange of data.
In realtà non si poteva comprare o vendere niente, non c'era data mining, profiling, estrazione delle informazioni, era pura condivisione.
The German artist Hito Steyr, using sexual references, defines their work abstract pornography, alluding to the feeling of intimacy that users perceive in enjoying the naked, unedited content. In this way, the projects My Little Big Data and Ricardo Uncut continue the explorations of the concepts of privacy, transparency, voyeurism and exhibitionism typical of the two artists, in a reflection on the insoluble link between public and private life, and on the invisible traces that we unconsciously disseminate in the network. Most of the works of Eva and Franco Matz focus not so much on the work itself as on the process that it itself manages to generate. They explore and document the narratives and the unforeseen consequences of their artistic interventions, which see the involvement of the user, who is placed in an unconscious participatory condition.
Artwork for anybody?
In fact, a characteristic feature of their art is to try to seize the moment of authenticity, of simplicity, that the public experiences, taken by surprise. In this sense, the Matz rethink artistic work as the prerogative of anyone, ideally the person next door. No Fun embodies this sentiment. The work is the video that collects the reactions of viewers who witness Franco's simulated suicide online via webcam.
With the same approach, Eva and Franco make Emily's video, in which viewers watch what they called the worst video ever, coming from the darknet, which was then destroyed. What remains are the reactions. The My Generation video captures convulsions and violent acts of gamers being filmed physically attacking the technology. To underline this violence, the video on display runs on an old computer, which physical parts, broken, are scattered on the floor. The two artists have also produced several works through the video game platform. Worth mentioning are the reenactments made online on Second Life of historical performances by artists, including Chris Burden, Valley Export or Marina Abramovic, which involved the involvement of other users.
Eva e Franco Matz oggi vivono e lavorano stabilmente a New York, continuando il loro percorso con passione e atteggiamento dissacrante. Sono considerati artisti di fama internazionale, giacché molte delle loro opere sono state esposte nelle gallerie d'arte, eventi culturali e musei più importanti del mondo.